everybody, my name is RagingRaptor and I welcome you to a new World of Tanks quick review. And today we'll have a look at the 50TP, the newest addition to the premium tanks in the game. It is a polished tier 8 heavy tank. And well, it is quite the unique tank in my opinion, giving you something like an IS-3 with a pretty darn good turret, a mixture of a T-32 turret in my opinion. Well, maybe a T-32 and WZ-111-5A, if you want to say it like that. So, what we are going to look at in this quick review is first stats in the hangar, then we have a look at a gameplay in a tier 10 game, and lastly we have a TLDW, where I give you a quick rundown of the pros and cons of this vehicle and my personal recommendation for this tank. So well, the first thing we'll start with is the 122mm WZ-4350 gun. Quite the impressive gun in my opinion. It's just one thing which this gun is lacking on, and that is penetration. You have decent, you have a good rate of fire. 11.7 seconds sounds long, but is actually incredibly good for a 440 alpha gun. You have the best DPM from the 440 alpha damage guns. Not even the Mauerbrecher nor the Object 252 Defender comes close to that DPM. It is around 150, I think, better, and that's still a pretty huge margin. And even, well, I gotta give my Mauerbrecher its crew back, and you can see with chocolate we have 2,225. And even here, without using the premium consumable, which would be bread with Smalek, we have more DPM. I'm pretty happy about these values, and those are actually great. For that, we also have a decent turret traverse and a great aim time, plus accuracy for such a heavy-hitting, heavy tank gun. Most of those 122mm guns on tier 8 are most of the time simply useless when it comes to sniping or shooting on mediocre distances. Plus, well, accuracy is a huge problem nevertheless. Overall, I think that also with the quite fast shell velocity, it makes a pretty decent tank when it comes to encountering on middle ranges. Just as already said, the big problem with this tank is its lack of penetration on AP and premium rounds. 218 and 245, it's not like it's bad or anything. It is workable with, it is good actually, but sometimes you start to feel the lack of penetration. For example, IS-7 lower plates, you have a hard time penetrating when you don't shoot gold. Jack Panzer 100 lower plate, which is a huge weak spot, usually you tend to have problems penetrating it. But for that you have a quick and easy fix. If you are able to shoot at its engine deck, you will have no problems penetrating it, because the engine deck is 40mm thick, meaning with a 122mm gun you have the overmatch mechanic, which helps you out. But we can compare it to tanks like the Defender, which many people fear it is. It is a Defender 2.0, they think. But again, I'm going to talk about this in the end. And here you can see we are missing 7mm of AP penetration, exactly 20mm of penetration is missing for our premium APCR shells. Yes, this is a quite big difference in penetration values. Okay, the T-34 is a little bit of a meanie because he has this huge 120mm gun. But even the Love is shining with absurd amount of penetration when it comes to premium shells. And even uncommon tank like the IS-5 do have better APCR or AP premium shells, standard shell penetration and premium shell penetration. So there you certainly have to aim for weak spots and know where you can overpen with this gun. Other than that, you have those 10 degrees of gun depression, not on the front, only on the side. 8 degrees it is on the front, and those are very comfortable to work with. To the survivability, we have 1,500 hit points, which is in my opinion a totally legitimate reason or totally legitimate amount of HP. Works well, it is not too little, it's not too much, it's totally okay. To the armor, we are hopping on to tanks.gg, which has more or less the armor model working roughly. You can see the front is this 110 millimeter pike nose. Even the lower plate is also 110 millimeters thick. Only thing which is stronger is this little driver's cupola. And when we go back into the game, you can see this is quite a thick armor plate. And yes, it is. 170 millimeters can give it quite a decent amount of bouncing. The biggest problem is you can see when you go into a face-up with this tank, many tanks tend to be able to shoot down on this spot right here, meaning it will start to be a weak spot again. It is quite an interesting vehicle to play because not only is it quite compact, meaning or resulting in things like a lot of ammo racks and fires. The engine has a 20% fire chance. No, it also results in being that many tanks can shoot down onto it, meaning this cupola or this driver's hatch can be a weak spot, or this part over here can be overmatched by tanks like the 50TP, the IS, the SU-100, if you want to be serious. This part right here can be overmatched by anything above 150 millimeters of caliber. Other than that, those angles are pretty darn decent, but I am going to say it out loud right now. The armor is nothing to compare with the Object 252 Defender. Simply, the Defender has 130 millimeters upper front plate armor, which is also in a pike nose shape. It is not as severely angled as we have it here, which makes it even better for side scraping. With this tank, side scraping will be hard also because of those spots right here. And the Defender has 100 millimeters side armor, or I think even 140 up here. We can have a quick look at that, so I'm not talking straight up garbage right here. We have Defender. You can see we have 100 millimeter on the upper front side, and you can see it's hugely angled, and the lower side is also 100 millimeter plus the 20 millimeter tracks. Our 50TP has something similar. We have 140 millimeters, but it's not angled in any kind of way. And other than that, we have 90 millimeters, but we have 30 millimeters additional spaced armor from those plates right here and the tracks. But overall, the Defender is so much better for side scraping simply because those plate is homogeneous, if you want to call it like that. Here you have this part you can shoot at, this part you can shoot at. Side scraping with the 50TP is pretty not workable. It really doesn't work that well. And other than that, the Defender has a 140 millimeter lower plate, while our 50TP has only 110 millimeters. Yes, the 50TP has a better angle, but the Defender simply makes this up with a lot more armor. What the 50TP shines at, in my opinion, is this hold down capability. If you are able to get into a good hold down position, you can use this pike nose to its fullest extent, and you can see it starts, this part here is missing. It's around 160, 180 millimeters of armor. And then you can see this tank will shine. The cupola is still able to be shot at, but it has an effective armor of 200 millimeters back then. And this is the best thing about this tank. Look at this amazing turret. The turret is incredibly strong. It has great, as you can, it's really great, seriously. I love this turret. It's so much fun to use. It has those great shapes. The gun works well with it. The gun mantlet is still really strong, which you can also say about the Defender, but as you can see, we have here 250 millimeters of effective armor. Here, yeah, sometimes we spike at 400 millimeters at the gun mantlet, so will be pretty hard to penetrate that one. The Defender has two big bulky cupolas, which are 150 millimeters thick. Ours is slightly angled, meaning it has a little bit of the Type 5 effect where it's getting better armor. The biggest con of this turret, as already said, is this 20 millimeter plate up here. It is bigger than it appears in here because you can see there the model is wrong. The damage model, it's just from here to here. Like if you go back into the game, it is this plate right here going up over here, which is missing or is just 40 millimeters thick. Anything with 122 millimeter gun will overmatch this quite easily. Well, yeah, let's have a quick look at how the stats are compared to the defender, because that's also many people want to know. You can see almost anything is better on the 50TP. The DPM is better, just the penetration is worse, the accuracy after shooting is worse, and well, yeah, armor is worse and some HP values, but those are not a big deal. And the engine burns quite more often. So yeah, the next thing is the mobility. The mobility, as you could see, is better as on the defender, but it's just for like 1 or 2 kilometers per hour. Those small margin of better specific power to weight ratio is not that big of a deal. The traverse speed is really quick in my opinion for a heavy tank and works well. The camo is not really important for a tier 8 heavy tank, but it is pretty decent in my opinion. I was able to get spotted later than a tank like the Patriot. Lastly, something which I love about this tank is that it has 380 millimeters of base view range, meaning you can see it right here, without using Bread with Smalek, but with using Brothers in Arms and the recon skill, because this tank crew comes from the Poodle, which has 5 crew members, this one has 4. We have 404 meter base view range, and we do not use not base, we have 404 meters of view range, just simply like that. And we do not use optics. So with optics, if you use Spreader Smalek or simply get a decent enough cruise skill here, you are good to go. Like, you have 445 meters of view range, and for a tank which is designed to break through with that pike nose, that is an incredible value. I do have to say though, I think that the vertical stylizer is better, because this tank's accuracy on the move is quite atrocious. It's the same as the defender, and well, it's not the same, it's better, I think. No, it's actually the same, excuse me, just after firing it's worse. And if you move the hole, it's ridiculous how big the aim circle goes immediately. Like, you need to watch out for that one. But yeah, now let's go into the gameplay of this tank. So here we are on the map Siegfried Line in a standard battle in our 50TP prototype in a 357 tier 10 game. We are bottom of the food chain, so let's see how it goes. And you can see mobility wise it works decently. Again, it is not something like IS-7 or anything. It feels good though. Here we are trying to get a snipe shot onto the Sheridan. You can see the accuracy is fairly okay. Sadly enough, we hit the spaced armor of the Sheridan, resulting in 0 damage. But you could see the shells travel quite fast for being AP. And again, this is a big plus in my opinion. It makes sniping a little bit easier. We are trying to make a blind shot onto the Sheridan. Sadly enough, we miss. And there we had a Rheinmetall, which somewhere hit us. You could see I tried to find where he hit us, and even now looking at it the 3rd time now after doing the German review as well, I still can't find where he bounced off our armor. I have to be honest though, we were a little bit lucky, because this Rheinmetall, I don't know what happened to him, but suddenly he simply disappeared, which is good for us because we can stay here without a big deal or big problem. And yeah, here we can see again aiming in, having a decent shot at the Sheridan and punish him for 430 damage, which is again 440 average damage per shot is a really great value for a tier 8 tank. Sadly we detract the Sheridan, but he gets quickly picked off. I decide to go a little bit more aggressive right now. We got a lot of people on the field, meaning that I should be able to get or grab myself some great spotting or assistant damage. So I need to be careful though. I do not know what gun the T30 has, plus there's still the Batshot 12T which is spamming gold. Luckily for us, our armor is sufficient enough on this range. There you can see the T30 is looking at us. We got him a nice little shot. I try to stay as well, you can see, as hold down as possible, because I don't know if he has the 150mm gun, because if he does, this part right here would be a auto pen for him. But luckily for us, he bounces off the turret. You can see the big scratch right here. So we are totally a-okay. This could be the shot the Rheinmetall hit, I'm not entirely sure. We got a shot into the side, you can see from the Centurion. I peeked a little bit too early, I was not reloaded yet, and the Centurion 7-1 got away scot-free. Almost scot-free, he got a little bit of damage from our sniping Battalion 12T. Now you can see on the minimap that another Battalion 12T got spotted, and maybe we can get some shots on him. Those are quite long ranges. You can see 466 meters. That's not really where you want to aim or where you want to snipe at. And oh boy, suddenly two people come. An IS-3 and the WZ. And it looks like the WZ hit our gun mantlet, having no chance in penetrating it, and the IS-3 hit the upper front plate. Well, I got significantly lucky there, because let's be honest, if they hit the lower plate, there would have been no problem. I had games where I had 0 block damage, simply because everybody was able to hit the lower plate. Again, I got a little bit lucky, as the IS-3 just tracks us and not doing any damage. The chances of getting damage with a track shot are there, but they are a little bit lower, because you can see the frontal road wheel is attached forward. There it is. So sometimes there is a chance that you don't hit anything of the tank if you go in a 90-degree angle to its side. The IS-3 pushes around, I go for his track, we give him almost 500 damage, and he, well, easily penetrates us. Why exactly? If I could zoom out, that would be great. Thank you very much. Lower plate. The lower plate in such close encounters shouldn't be too big of a deal for enemy tankers in the end. Especially same tier tankers. For lower tier, it might pose a problem, but for that this tank has a weak side and a weak rear. Again, luckily he hit somewhere around on our turret, not being able to penetrate it, but we should know that again, if he hits this plate up here or anything up here, he will have auto penetration. He has a 130mm gun. There is what I meant with being lucky. The RHM, or Rheinmetall Borsig Waffenträger, was AFK, so giving us a little bit more damage, which is lucky for us. And I saw the WZ drove away, I decided to drive a little bit forward. Maybe we can give the Centurion one more shot. We can, another 433 damage. The great thing about this tank is if you are doing proper trading, meaning you give a shot, the enemy gives a shot, you both lose HP, you will in most cases come out ahead against same tier opponents because of 440 alpha damage. We were once again quite lucky that the IS-7 just hit over here, not the cupola nor the 40mm plates over here. Hit those 90-80mm parts right here, and because of those great curved angles, no big deal, no problem, he will bounce. You can see this tank. Well, in this replay, I think you might say, oh boy, this tank has OP armor and so on. But after, I think, around 23 games, I can assure you that it's not the case. It is not a brain-dead defender, luckily. It really rewards, though, great positioning and going hull down. Again, I tried to see where he wanted to penetrate me to get a little bit of more information about the tank's armor. I will try to do a how to penetrate guide on this tank, but this might take a while. On Monday my final starts, so yeah. Well, in my opinion, it performs pretty good, but again, you need to have good positioning. Right now the gun lets me down though a little bit. We start to miss shots somewhere all over the place. Now I try to move forward, so the IS-7 has no point in hitting us. I try to make a snapshot onto the lower plate, but I think it hit the upper one, I'm not entirely sure. I drive a little bit closer so he does not get a shot off onto us. I want to preserve our HP. We want to get some credits, don't we, eh? The cool thing about this tank is also that it has pretty mediocre ammunition costs. Like, they're pretty low actually. 880 I think is one shell. The defender pays for 1000 per shell. You can see the E3 wants to give us another shot. We luckily detrack him. It's much better than using damage right now, and you can see we are getting rewarded with 878 spotting or assistant damage. 3-5, 3-5, 2-5. A pretty darn good result. And well, this is what we got. We got not an ace tanker, sadly. I'm actually surprised that this is not an ace tanker. It was almost 1,400 base experience. But we got the steel wall and the Confederate achievement. Plus that, we were top in damage in a tier 10 game. We did a lot of work there, to be honest. We fought against tier 9 tanks, tier 8 tanks, and were luckily unscathed by tier 10s most of the time. Just this IS-7 there once. Again, almost 1,400 base experience. Without a premium account, I got 66,000 total credits, which is, in my opinion, a really good score. With credits, or with premium, I would have gotten above 108,000. You can see, again, the ammunition costs are pretty low. We would have, in a defender, we would have paid another 3,000, 4,000 credits just on top of that, just because it is so much more expensive. So yeah, 3,589 total damage. We sniped 8,832 damage without big problems, in my opinion. We blocked 3,590 damage somehow. Again, the turret is really, really strong. It rewards good placement of your tank in the map. And 2,550 spotting or assistant damage. Overall, a pretty good game. But now to the TLDW. The pros of these tanks, once again, are its strong or really great turret, the great gun angles, the gun depression is great in the front, 8 degrees is totally workable with, and 10 on the side can be used but are tricky because of the weak side armor, which are getting exposed when you use those 10 degrees of gun depression to the side. The speed is totally adequate for that armor. The fuel range is, in my opinion, perfect. The alpha damage of this gun is something you should not be laughing at. And the accuracy is also totally okay. I think it will be a great crew trainer for the upcoming Polish tanks. As far as I know, they do have the same crew layout. It has a little bit of a troll hole, so this could help you, but also sometimes screw you over. And it has a 122mm caliber gun. Again, for overmatching 40mm of armor, perfect. You can overmatch the Jack Panzer E100 engine deck, for Pete's sake, and that can actually help you a lot because it's the only spot you can reliably penetrate him. Even with gold, the lower plate can be quite the tough nut to crack. The cons are that its lower plate is quite big and is not that strongly armored. Well, the pike nose can be a weak spot. Watch out with that. It can help you. It can also screw you over when you want to side scrape. The ammo rack is pretty darn big, and I heard of people one-shotting this tank quite frequently, and I also felt in the games I've played that in many games, or I think at least a third or a fourth of the games I played, I got an ammo rack damage. The 10 degrees, again, are only on the side. It is quite inaccurate during traveling, so you need, or during driving, you really need to aim in to actually hit something. You can do the snapshots. Obviously, I encourage every time when you don't have anything to do anyway, take the snapshot. But yeah, and it does not have the defender armor, so that is a good thing in my opinion. It makes it much more balanced, even though it has better gun stats than the defender and a better turret than the defender. Those weaker armor plates or weaker whole armor really gives you the feeling that you get rewarded when you play this tank well. Again, if you play something like a T-32, you feel rewarded when you go hull down and nobody can penetrate you, because then you know that you are in a good position. You decided to take this position, that people have a bad or hard time penetrating you because you are built like that. Plus, you don't have an HE gun, you're not a Type 5 heavy. The 40mm roof is also a con, and you have a 20% engine fire chance. Happened to me, and I saw other 50TP burning quite easily. Overall, I think it is a fun tank to play. It is well balanced. Maybe the lower plate could be a little bit weaker for lower tiered opponents, but for tier 8, tier 7, I think it's totally well balanced. You can see the turret is incredible. I can definitely recommend the tank, but again, you need to get into good positions. You can't just stand there angling a little bit and you're impenetrable like you would be in a defender. You are not a defender, okay? Well, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and let me know what you think. Did it give you, or, well, did you bought it? And what are your experiences with it? Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.